Hey everyone. So I recorded this video earlier, but I wanted to talk about the Shrine of Secrets, and my original take kind of sucked. So welcome, one and all, to Should I Bother? A hopefully weekly series where we go over the perks available in the Shrine of Secrets and discuss whether you should get them by buying them with iridescent shards on the shrine, whether you should get them with Bloodpoints, or whether you should just skip them entirely. And unfortunately, it's a pretty skippable week today. We're going to start at the top with the Survivor perk Botany Knowledge from Claudette. You transform plants that are found around the campfire into tinctures that slow down bleeding. Healing speed and healing item efficiency are increased by 11%. This is increased to 22% at the second rank of the perk and 33% at the third rank. So 33% faster healing speed, 33% slower consumption of your medkits. Medkits last longer, get more heals out of them, much more use and work. It's useful, it's a very good perk. It's a very simple perk, it does exactly what it says. However, Claudette is a character that you get just by having the game. It is far more worth it to just play her, invest blood points into her, and get the teachable perk that way, and then use your iridescent shards if you want to get more blood points back in order to level up other characters. It is also a good way to try it before you buy it. Bring it into a game with a yellow or even a green medkit. See how you like it, see how it works for you, or come in empty-handed and just use it to heal people. Also works too. Recommend using it, and I recommend buying it with blood points, not with eerie shards on the Shrine of Secrets. You'll get a lot more value out of it that way. Next Survivor perk is Vigil from Quentin Smith, who is part of the Nightmare on Elm Street DLC. The Nightmare on Elm Street DLC can only be purchased with real money, either by using RX cells to unlock the characters, or by using real money, using your credit card to get the DLC. In this case, this perk is you look over your friends even in dire situations. You and your allies within an 8-meter range recover from the exhausted, hemorrhaged, mangled, hindered, and blinded status effects 10% faster. This goes up to 12.5% and then 15% at rank 3. Once out of range, this effect persists for 15 seconds. That is the same across all ranks of the perk. So, what does it actually do? We're going to skip over exhausted, and we're going to talk about hemorrhaged and mangled. Hemorrhaged and mangled are two status effects that often go hand in hand because they are part of the perk Sloppy Butcher. And hemorrhage makes it so that survivors leave more of a blood trail when they run, and mangled makes it so that they heal 20% slower. These, like I said, these often go hand in hand because of the Sloppy Butcher perk, and in that case, the duration is infinite, so Vigil does not actually give you any value. Any other source of those status effects comes from the add-ons to killer powers that are, you don't see them run often. Most killers don't run such add-ons, they just don't care enough to use it, so you're really only going to see it from Sloppy Butcher, and that's just going to, that means you get no use out of Vigil. It doesn't mean that you don't heal people faster if you have Vigil equipped. You need Botany Knowledge for that, ironically enough. But Vigil doesn't give you an extra healing speed if someone has hemorrhage. It just makes it so that the status effect wears off faster if it has a duration. If the duration is infinite, no value out of Vigil. Hindered, you only see that base from 3, maybe only 2. There might be a third, but as far as I can tell, base, it's only from 2 killers. Ironically, Freddy himself, with the killer that came with Quentin Smith, his dream snares can cause a hindered effect. They do cause a hindered effect if you spring the traps. The clown's gas bottles also cause a hindered effect. Hindered just slows them down slows a survivor by 15% for as long as they're hindered. However, in this case, these status effects only really last for a few seconds, so you really only get use out of it if you are yourself hindered by one of these killers, or if you have to run by your survivor friends during a chase, which means that the killer might jump to you instead. Again, you see this also with other killers. They do have add-ons for it. The Hag, for instance, has the waterlogged shoe, which makes it so that she can't teleport, but she has a faster move speed, and that her traps cause the hindered status effect if you get close enough to spring them. Again, not very useful. The 15% on only a few seconds is not that great. Typically it's just not going to matter. It's only going to go down to like 2.7 seconds worth of hindered, essentially. And you usually get out of that by just having smarter positioning, maneuvering around the killer, and it doesn't matter how slow you are if you just know where to put yourself, if you know where to be in position. That said, it can be a little cheeky. It can maybe help you avoid a few lunges. Still, not really worth it that much. The blindness effect. You never see it. You literally never see it. You maybe see it once in a great while if you're dealing with someone doing some sort of meme build. Blindness prevents you from seeing auras, so you can't see where people are hooked. You can't see other people if you go down. You can't see people with bond or other aura reading perks. And you can't see it until the duration is up. Granted, you don't, like I said, you don't usually see that status effect. Maybe if it was more commonplace, then maybe, but I've seen it maybe once or twice out of a great many games I've played, usually on Wraith. No one else really seems to care about the blindness status effect. It's just not used. So that leaves Exhausted. Now, this is actually where the perk can come into play. There are many perks that cause the exhaustion status effect for a period of time. If they're at rank 3, these perks usually cause the status effect for about 40 seconds. 15% means that it comes back in about 36 seconds, or no, 34 seconds, excuse me, I got my math wrong. It can help you be a little bit more brazen with your exhaustion perks, such as Sprint Burst and Dead Hard, if you know that they're going to be coming back faster. You can also help other people get their Sprint Bursts and Dead Hards and Lives and Head-Ons back faster as well. Can be quite useful on that front, but it's really the only status effect that is going to do you any good. There are also killers that can run exhaustion add-ons, and if you do end up coming against them, then maybe Vigil is worth it, but at the same time, there's just so much of this perk that just doesn't happen. Either the status effects are too short to matter, don't come up, or they have infinite duration. Exhaustion is really the only one that matters here, and it's just not that great of an effect even with that. So, unfortunately, Vigil is a very skippable perk, so I would not recommend buying it with either Eerie Shards or Bloodpoints. I just would not recommend it in any sense of the word. Skip it, it ain't worth it, try something else. Moving on to killer perks, we have a Freddy perk, the Nightmare. So we had a Quentin Smith perk, we have a Freddy perk as well. Remember Me, which is ironically one of the most forgettable perks in the game. You become obsessed with one survivor. Each time you hit your obsession with a basic attack, that is an M1 attack, no powers are allowed here, you increase the opening time of the exit gates by 4 seconds, up to a maximum of 8 seconds at level 1, 12 seconds at level 2, 16 seconds at level 3. The obsession is not affected by Remember Me. There's a problem with this. One, it has the drawback of the obsession not giving a fuck about Remember Me. Secondly, exit gates only take 16 seconds to open to begin with, so this means that it takes a maximum of 32 seconds. However, much like generators, progress on exit gates is saved. So, even though you can more easily maneuver between the two exit gates if you have Remember Me is only a perk that applies at the end of the game. I would much rather recommend bringing a perk that gives you benefits throughout the entire game, not something that specifically only affects the end game. And even then, I'm not sure if killing the obsession deactivates this perk. It may. Most obsession perks are deactivated if the obsession dies, and only really apply if there's a new obsession that ends up coming into play. You might be able to do that by... But even then, the obsession is not affected by Remember Me, so if you have an obsession in play, then this perk does nothing. Like, for example, if you get down to the last survivor and he stuns you, or like he decisive strikes you, and that forcibly makes him the obsession, then all of a sudden he's not affected by Remember Me, and all this time that you put into it is completely wasted. So, it has a large chance of backfiring. It really doesn't do much for what it's worth. It's just completely skippable, completely forgettable, which is ironic considering the name, and I made that joke already, but you can just skip Remember Me. It's just not worth it. Our final perk is Monitor and Abuse from the Doctor. If you have PS4, I believe you already have the Doctor. I've been told that Doctor is free on PS4. If not, still, you can stick around. Meticulous in your approach, terrifying in your application. While in a chase, your terror radius is increased by 8 meters. Otherwise, your terror radius is decreased by 8 meters, and your field of view is increased by 3 degrees at level 1, 4 degrees at level 2, 5 degrees at level 3. The field of view is not what we're here for, though. We're here for the terror radius manipulating shenanigans. So what happens is, while you're in a chase, your terror radius is increased by 8 meters. You can use that with some perks that affect your that apply effects if a survivor is in your terror radius, such as Overwhelming Presence or Terrifying Presence. However, this has a lot more applications on more stealth killers that have reduced terror radiuses, such as Huntress doesn't really have much that she can use with it because she does have that hum that goes out at a much longer range. It is good for surprising people who are used to Huntress's terror radius and hum. Maybe they don't get spooked out by the hum and they stick on a generator, and then all of a sudden you're on top of them with your tiny terror radius. The Hag also has a smaller terror radius, and the Deathslinger has a smaller terror radius. The Deathslinger can actually shoot you from outside the terror radius if he has Monitor and Abuse. So that is something to keep in mind there. It is very good. It is a niche perk for niche playstyles, mostly revolving around stealth. If you like it, this is the one perk I would say that is potentially worth buying for Eerie Shards off of the Shrine of Secrets this week. I would much rather you get Doctor, play Doctor, enjoy Doctor, learn about how to deny pallets, learn about how to deny window vaults, which is something his power can do, and then get Monitor and Abuse simply by leveling him up. However, if you don't have access to Doctor, if you simply can't acquire him for whatever reason, then it is, and you want to maybe play with this perk, you maybe want to see about throwing it on your Hag, for instance, because maybe you have her, but you don't have anyone else, then you can maybe consider throwing this on there, seeing what you can do with it. It is the only perk this week I would recommend actually getting with Eerie Shards. The rest of them you can get through other methods or just completely skip. And even then, I would still recommend just getting this through Bloodpoints anyway. So that's the 4 perks on the Shrine of Secrets. We'll be back next week with a new shrine, and I hope you all have yourself a fantastic day. Take it easy, and I'll see you.